Right. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. So my name is Nick Davis. Hopefully everybody can hear and see me and also see my presentation screen as well. So it's really, really nice to be able to speak to you all virtually today. And yeah, thank you for to the guys at Pathway Group for setting this up. So really, really good to be able to speak to you all virtually. So I'm from the Royal Aeronautical Society, and I'm going to talk to you today about aerospace and aviation careers. So there's a lot to talk about in a short period of time, but I will be sort of taking some questions, and there will be all of our details on the slides at the end. So if you do want to sort of carry on the conversation about an aerospace career or aviation career, then we can by all means carry on the conversation sort of offline or away from this event today as well. So my name is Nick, and I am the Education Skills and Diversity Manager at the Royal Aero Society. I've worked in aviation now coming up for about 8 years in total. So before I joined the society 3 years ago, I worked in commercial flight operations. So I was sort of flight planning and working for a number of different companies, including airlines as well. And I'm here today just to introduce you a little bit to who we are, but also, and more importantly, tell you or sort of introduce you to the world of aerospace and how you can enter a career within the industry. And obviously, we're here to talk about the apprenticeship route as well. So just moving on. So the Royal Aeronautical Society was actually formed in 1866, so just over 150 years old. And we are the world's only professional body dedicated to the entire aerospace and aviation industry. And I'm here to introduce you today to the society, tell you about how you can get involved, but as I say, more importantly, tell you about how you can gain a career within the industry. So a bit of background to the Royal Aero Society. So we have 25,000 members from all over the world, and they represent a broad spectrum of the industry, including engineers, pilots, air traffic controllers, and a wide range of other business functions as well. And we are a global network of over 67 branches and divisions. We've got 37 separate branches here in the UK. We also understand the importance of our online reach now more than ever, and I'll sort of explain much later on towards the end how you can get involved with us. We're also licensed by the Engineering Council and what's called a professional engineering institution. So we provide engineers or we help engineers become what's called chartered or professionally registered. So essentially what that means is that once you're working in the industry, you can become chartered as an engineer, and it means that you've reached a very, very high level of professionalism and competency within your chosen engineering related field. So that's why we are accredited by the Engineering Council, and we promote those engineering standards within the industry all over the world. And alongside this, we demonstrate our work that we do with the Engineering Council by not just sort of registering engineers, but also accrediting university courses, apprenticeships, and graduate schemes within the industry. So if you like, we sort of sit in between education and the industry itself. And what this means is when we have what's called accredited a course or apprenticeship, it means that we have sort of deemed them to have met the required standards in terms of what the industry look for in young professionals, particularly in apprentices. And we are a registered charity as well. That means we're a not-for-profit. The work that we do in advancing in all the various different areas of aerospace, and we try to help inspire the next generation to be part of this amazing industry and this growing industry. And we're playing a vital role in inspiring and developing the future of the sector. And then we've got huge amounts of knowledge resources and content that we put out there. And that's a very, very important element of what we do. And our members contribute to this. And we have various different publications. We've got a dedicated magazine called Aerospace Magazine that we publish every month as well. That has all sorts of regular insight content around every single part of the industry. So that's just a very broad overview of the Royal Aeronautical Society. But now we're going to delve into some of the more interesting topics of the day, which is how can you actually gain a career in the aerospace industry. And what does the UK industry landscape actually look like? Well, we're quite lucky here in the UK in that we have one of the biggest aerospace sectors in the world. So the UK's aerospace and aviation sector is actually the third largest in the world, behind sort of the US and China. And we've got some major companies here in the UK, and we employ well over 100,000 people directly in aerospace, for example. But globally, there are many millions of people working in the aerospace sector because it is a global industry. But the UK really is one of the countries sort of at the forefront of manufacturing, but also sort of technological advances and research and development as well. But there are all sorts of different jobs and careers that you can do within the aerospace sector. There are those sort of traditional STEM related roles that you can do, which obviously you can become an aerospace engineer, an aircraft maintenance engineer, for example. But there is non-STEM related disciplines as well. So you might be somebody who is still interested in aircraft and aviation and aerospace, but you may not be interested in, say, going down the science or the engineering route. You might be interested maybe in project management or finance or perhaps another business route. All the sort of major aerospace companies, both sort of large and small, they have all the sort of various different functionalities that a normal business has. So yes, there is engineering, but then there is the other departments and other roles that you can do as well. And there's a number of different apprenticeships also that I'll get onto later that you can do in these sort of business functions or non-STEM related functions as well. So there really is something for everybody within the industry. As I say, if you're not necessarily STEM minded, I'm not STEM minded, so I lean towards more the business side of aviation and aerospace, because my mind certainly isn't mathematical. So it just shows you that there is availability of roles for everybody, no matter sort of what you're interested in, or sort of what subjects you've been studying at school, college, for example. So just to give you a broad overview of what the industry looks like. So these are some really useful organizations that you can go to just find companies within your local area. So these are all what's called trade associations or trade bodies, and they represent the aerospace industry based on sort of different regions. So you'll see here the Midlands Aerospace Alliance, for example. They obviously represent the Midlands, Southwest, Northwest, and so on. And you can go on there. They all have websites, and you can actually locate companies within your local region or your local area who you might be interested in working for. So it goes that sort of step further, away from perhaps doing a typical Google search for, say, apprentices or for apprenticeships or for jobs. You can use these trade body websites to actually locate companies that you may never have heard of, and that you can start to research, and you might be able to start to contact them, look on their websites. They may have some apprenticeships. So they may only be a very small company. They may only be a startup, for example. So they may only employ maybe 10 to 50 people, but they still might be offering an apprenticeship opportunity. And I'm sure you've all heard of most of the major players within the UK, of which there's about several of the sort of major aerospace manufacturing companies, or OEMs, as we like to call them. We love an acronym. So OEMs stand for original equipment manufacturers. So they're companies like Airbus, for example, and Rolls-Royce. So they manufacture either aircraft components, or they actually manufacture the aircraft themselves. And we're lucky to have probably several of those main players here in the UK that all offer various different early career opportunities, such as apprenticeships. But again, you've got companies that surround those larger organizations in the supply chain that will also offer you an opportunity potentially with an apprenticeship. So I'd encourage you to take a note of all of these trade body organizations, and you can sort of go a little bit further into specific regions and even specific sort of areas within the industry. So if you were interested, say, in propulsion, so you were actually interested in manufacturing engines for aircraft, you can narrow down your searches to find all of those companies within certain regions or across the entire country that actually sort of manufacture or they design sort of engine components as well for aircraft. So just some really, really useful organizations there just to keep in mind when you are ready to sort of start your search. But to give you an idea of what I'm talking about in terms of the overall supply chain of the industry. So if we take Airbus, for example, they are an OEM. So they are a large manufacturer, but then there's probably well over 100 companies that actually surround Airbus as an organization, for example, that supply them. And they will have all sorts of opportunities for you. So this is just a visual that I've created, which shows you, or I've broken it down into sort of wings, engine, and fuselage. So you'll see all of these companies that actually supply Airbus themselves that aren't Airbus, but they may have opportunities for you, whether that's an apprenticeship, a direct entry role, or if you decide to go to university, they may have a graduate opportunity as well for when you leave uni. So a lot of these companies, again, you may have heard of them, and they're larger companies, but some of them you may not have heard of, but they are very small and very niche. So there's some companies on here like Strand Engineering. They manufacture wing parts, jet blades, engineering, Flowmaster, engine, aero engine controls, and so on. So, and those websites that I showed you before, those trade bodies, this is where you will be able to find all of these companies within a certain region. So this is just a snapshot here taken from the Midlands. So this is just one area of the UK, and you'll see there's at least sort of 10, at least 10 to a dozen companies there that actually supply Airbus that again might have opportunities for you. And these are the sorts of things that you will see. You will see sort of lots of maps of the country, so you'll be able to sort of pinpoint where you might want to locate yourself. But what I am going to stress at this point in time, I think, and the way the job market is at the moment in aerospace and aviation, is that the more flexible you are in terms of your location, I think the better chances you have of securing an apprenticeship or a role or a career that sort of suits your interests as well. So you can go to those trade body websites, search across the entire country for companies that you might be interested in working for as well. So that's just an overview, a very, very quick overview of sort of what the industry looks like in the UK and some key organizations that you can go to find companies that may potentially employ you. So let's move on now to entry routes. So there are typically two entry routes. So I'm going to focus obviously on apprenticeships, but there are typically two main entry routes into aerospace and aviation. They tend to be apprenticeships or university. But if we just focus on apprenticeships, so some of the biggest employers in the UK are in the aerospace industry, and they offer a variety of different apprenticeship programs at sort of whatever career stage or whatever stage you're at within your education as well. So if you can decide to go straight from school, say for example, after you finish your GCSEs, you might be able to go straight into an apprenticeship, or you decide to go to college and maybe do say level 3, whether that's A levels or a BTEC, and then you might also then decide to go on to an apprenticeship after that. So and there are different levels to sort of suit where you're at within your education, but also what you want to focus on. So there are apprenticeships for sort of a variety of different engineering related disciplines, such as a level 6 aerospace engineer. So there are companies like Airbus, BAE Systems and Rolls-Royce, for example, that offer a level 6 aerospace engineering apprenticeship. And this is a degree level or a higher level apprenticeship. So this is where you will usually come from a level 3 qualification, so from college or A levels, and you will go straight into that degree level apprenticeship. And you will actually study a aerospace engineering degree alongside your apprenticeship. So it's another opportunity for you to study, but you're also working and earning at the same time. And you're also not going into any student debt because the company that you work for will pay the tuition fees and things like that. So for those, you can apply to companies directly. But you can also go on to obviously the National Apprenticeship Service website and also there's other useful organisations that you can go to find the apprenticeships, such as Amazing Apprenticeships as well. You can come to us and we have a list of apprenticeship sort of, or when apprenticeships open for recruitment and things like that. But the main thing is to go to the companies directly, because they will be able to give you an indication of what the specific entry requirements are. For example, I mean, typically for a level 6 or a higher or degree level apprenticeship, it's usually a STEM related subject at level 3, so BTEC A levels, for example, and then they will consider sort of UCAS points as well. But again, it does depend on the individual company. And then there are other areas in aviation, so such as operations. So you might want to become an aviation operations manager or a ground operative. There's also apprenticeships in things like project management, in procurement, or in things like HR. So you can actually go on to do a variety of different apprenticeships within aerospace. So it's not, again, not just STEM, not just engineering, but just pointing out that there are many different types of engineering ones, such as the Aerospace Engineer Level 6, but there is also aircraft maintenance as well. And then there is some new apprenticeships coming through in the space sector. So I don't know if we've got anybody interested in space, but there are some new apprenticeships being developed at the moment where you can actually become a space engineer. So that is something to look out for. Say if you are interested, probably in the next 12, 18 months or so, we might see a couple of space engineering apprenticeships at a variety of different companies in the UK as well. So again, if any of you are interested in going down the apprenticeship route, which I'm sure that the vast majority of you are, there are huge amounts of opportunities. Yes, the COVID pandemic has seen the industry affected in certain areas, but other areas haven't been affected. So we're actually seeing this year already a 10% increase on the number of apprenticeships or apprenticeship vacancies that are actually available right now compared to the same time before the pandemic. So, and you've got companies like BAE Systems, for example, that are recruiting more young professionals than ever. So they're going to have more apprenticeship opportunities this year than they ever have done before. So a really good opportunity for you to look for an apprenticeship this year, and certainly over the next couple of years, as more and more companies also start to take on apprentices as well. So, I mean, to give you some figures, back in sort of, maybe 2010, there was probably about 30% of aerospace companies that offered apprenticeships. Now it's around 70% of all the companies in the country will offer some form of apprenticeship program. So there is a great deal of opportunity for you. And I'm going to briefly touch on university, because this is another entry route or typical entry route into a lot of roles, particularly in aerospace engineering. But to stress that a lot of roles within aviation or away from STEM or engineering, you don't need a university degree. So even if you want to be a pilot, for example, you do not need a university degree to become a pilot. You don't need a degree to become an air traffic controller, for example. But if you do want to perhaps become an aeronautical or aerospace engineer, then if you don't decide to go down the apprenticeship route, then a university degree is a good pathway to go down. And there are about 30 institutions here in the UK that offer some form of aerospace or aeronautical engineering related degree as well. And again, if you are interested in these, the best place to go is things like the UCAS website. You can go to our website as well. We accredit those aerospace degrees. So as I mentioned earlier on, it's important because we basically go in to make sure that course is up to industry standard. So you can go to our website and check out all of our list of accredited courses, and there might be a university on there that might be on your list of interests as well. And what I would say is, apprenticeships are very competitive. I'm not going to sit here and say they're all easy to get onto, but it is good to potentially have a backup if you perhaps aren't successful first time round with getting onto an apprenticeship. Then university might be perhaps a good backup. And I say that with everybody these days. Even if you are dead set on training to become an air traffic controller or a pilot, always have a backup just in case you don't necessarily succeed the first time round, but you can always try again as well. So that's just a quick note sort of on universities. They will all have different entry requirements as well, but again, usually maths and science are required at A level, or a level 3 STEM related BTEC, for example, to get onto an aeronautical or aerospace related degree. So I know I've talked a little bit about some of the jobs that you can do, but just to delve into it in a bit more detail. So you've essentially got two parts of the industry. You've got aerospace, which is the part of the industry that is responsible for sort of the design, manufacture, and sort of maintenance side. And then you've got aviation, which is more about how you sort of operate the sort of aircraft as well. So there's two sides to it really, and there's both sort of STEM related opportunities in both, and non-STEM related opportunities, and also apprenticeship, university opportunities, and non-university opportunities. So aerospace, you can specialize in certain areas. You might be interested in propulsion, you might be interested in materials, so actually what the aircraft are made of, avionics, systems and ICT. That's really growing and expanding. Most modern aircraft now, they're essentially flying computers, so they need specialists who know their way around computer systems and things like that. I know a handful of people who are actually aerodynamicists as well, so they're actually an aerodynamics engineer and things like that. So you break it down even further, and there are individual sort of roles and areas and subsectors that you can specialize in. And it's the same in aviation. Say there are pilots and crew, but you can break that down again to commercial pilots, but also military pilots as well. And there's even things like aviation law and finance, which is actually a multi-billion-pound industry. So if anybody who is interested in finance, most airlines around the world, they actually lease their aircraft from major banks and sort of aviation leasing firms. So if you are sort of interested in that, it's a huge multi-billion-pound market as well. You might be interested in operations. So this was sort of my love. Sort of when I left school in university, I wanted to sort of be on the ground and sort of operate, see how the aircraft sort of took off into the air, really, how that sort of the operational function within the airline actually worked, and sort of flight planning all of those aircraft all over the world. Or you might be interested in things like air traffic control as well. And again, a lot of these roles within aviation, they do not require you to have a university degree at all. I say, as long as you've got sort of passion and interest, you might be able to sort of gain a role or a career that you are interested in as well. So there really is something for everybody in the aerospace and aviation industry. And I thought I'd share just some future trends with you to see what potentially the industry could look like, certainly in your lifetime. And just a few things that are being sort of rolled out or even trialed as we speak. The way that aircraft are actually going to be designed and manufactured is probably going to change in the not so distant future. So the aircraft we fly on now are probably going to look very different, as you'll see from the bird of prey concept aircraft there, which looks very futuristic. I'm not sure it will actually look like that eventually, but it's interesting to see where the designs are going. And the industry is obviously very focused on climate change and sustainability. So we are all potentially going to be flying maybe short haul on a battery powered electric aircraft, probably by 2024. Short haul, I say, definitely won't be long haul. But there's also work going on at the moment around alternative fuels as well. So actually using hydrogen and more sustainable fuels as well within aviation and aerospace. So the way we fly and how aircraft sort of are propelled through the air by using alternative fuels, electric power, is definitely sort of on the cards, and it is probably going to be the norm, certainly within the next 50 to 100 years. And then other aspects include things like robotics and AI. So within air traffic control now, there's a lot of work going on with virtual control towers. So you'll see from the picture in my top left, which is a virtual sort of control tower at Heathrow Airport that NATS are working on. So that does away with the need for control towers. And you think the amount of people it would actually need to actually produce the systems for that virtual control tower. And other areas, things like facial recognition and robotics, are already being trialed and used at the moment in major airports, not only in the UK, but all over the world as well. And the motor TOC, which is already being used in Terminal 5 at Heathrow, which is potentially going to be rolled out even further sort of within the next few years. And this is, again, sort of an electric powered tug. So again, thinking on the sort of climate change and making sustainability a lot more greener and more sustainable for the future and future generations to come. And there are jobs now that don't exist within the industry, but they will exist maybe even in say 2 or 3 years time. So we're already starting to see a lot of roles, particularly when it comes to artificial intelligence, sustainability, and robotics, that actually aren't available in the industry as we speak, but probably, you know, within the next couple of years, those jobs will actually be available. So all of these new skills sort of coming through are going to be needed. And you guys are all the future. You've got to come up with the problems, come up with the solutions for the industry, because the industry has an awful lot of problems that need solving. So it needs future talented individuals, such as everybody with us today, to come and solve those issues that the industry has at the moment. So let's talk a little bit about how you can get involved with this society. So as I mentioned, you can get in contact with us. You can have a chat with our careers guidance team, and we can talk to you about anything related to a career within the industry. So you might want to talk specifically about apprenticeships. You might want to talk just about maybe getting your CV sorted, interviews, and just where to start. So you can actually contact us and we can arrange a one-to-one chat with you virtually. And there's the email address at the bottom there. You can also join our Young Professionals Network, and I'll show you how you can do that in a sec. So you can volunteer with us. You can attend all of the events that our YPN organise. And you can actually get more involved with us on a local level. So as I mentioned, we've got lots and lots of different branches across the UK and all over the world. So wherever you are, you will usually be able to connect with one of our branches. And this is a network made up of about 8,000 young people who are either studying at university, on apprenticeships already, or they are just young professionals working in the industry as well. So it's a good opportunity for you to network with like-minded individuals who perhaps are going down a pathway that you are interested in within aerospace as well. So you can all sign up for student membership. So if you are studying full-time, say at school, college, and you're over 16, you can join the society as a free student affiliate member. So you can sign up by the QR code there, or just go to aerosociety.com/students. So if you are studying full-time in education, it is completely free. If you're not studying within education, then you can apply for our e-associate membership, which is around £49 a year as well. But say if you are studying full-time, it's free. So I'd encourage you to sign up to get more involved, join the Young Professionals Network. You will then have all the unlimited access to all of our resources, including the magazine that I mentioned earlier on, but also you would get unlimited access to all of that expert careers advice as well, to really sort of steer you in the right direction when you are making those really important decisions on what entry route you want to take within aerospace as well. And this is just all of our contact details here. So feel free to take a note of these email addresses. If you do want to contact us for any reason, if you want to carry on the conversation with a member of our team, you want to arrange that careers chat, more than happy to do so. So we've got the careers email address there, careers@aerosociety.com, and then for membership in the Young Professionals Network, and of course all of our social media handles as well. So I think that's pretty much bang on 2 o'clock. So maybe just 1 or 2 minutes over. So thank you guys all very much indeed. I say do get in contact with us by one of those email addresses there if you do sort of want to carry on this conversation. So hopefully you found that really useful. And yeah, just wishing everybody all the best and all the best of luck. And hopefully might see you working within an aerospace role in the not so distant future. So thank you very much, everybody.